Every year, decks separate from houses in Florida. Not from overloading, not from structural decay. From a ledger board that was attached with the wrong fasteners, no flashing, or both. The connection is invisible after the deck is built. The failure is not. The ledger board is the structural member that connects the deck to the house. It transfers the full combined dead and live load of the deck, the weight of the decking, the framing, and every person standing on it, into the house's rim joist and floor framing. The ledger is where two separate structural systems meet at a single connection. When that connection fails, the deck loses support on one side. It rotates outward and downward. The people on it go with it. Florida Building Code Section R507.9 governs every dimension of that connection: fastener type, fastener diameter, fastener spacing, penetration depth, and flashing. The fastener schedule under FBC Table R507.9.1.3 is specific. Ledger to rim joist connections require either half-inch diameter lag screws or half-inch diameter through bolts. The spacing of those fasteners depends on the joist span and the width of the deck. A wider deck with longer joists places more load on the ledger and requires closer fastener spacing. A common residential deck with 10-foot joist spans typically requires lag screws at 16 to 18 inches on center. The fasteners must penetrate a minimum of 1.5 inches into the rim joist, not the sheathing, not the siding, not the stucco, the structural member. The fasteners must be installed in a staggered pattern, alternating between the upper and lower third of the ledger depth. A row of fasteners driven in a straight horizontal line through the center of the ledger splits the rim joist along the grain under load. The staggered pattern distributes the fastener forces across the full depth of the rim joist and prevents that splitting failure mode. It is specified in the code because it is the failure mode that occurred when the straight line pattern was the common practice. Flashing is the requirement most ledger installations in Florida skip, and the one that causes the most silent failures. FBC R507.9.1 requires flashing at every ledger attachment. The flashing must be installed behind the wall covering, behind the stucco, behind the siding, behind the house wrap, and must lap down over the top of the ledger to direct water away from the ledger-to-house junction. In Florida, every rainstorm drives water horizontally into that junction. Without flashing, the water infiltrates, soaks the rim joist and the adjacent floor framing, and begins the rot cycle. Rotted rim joist lumber loses its structural capacity silently. The fasteners remain in place, the deck appears solid, and the connection has been failing for months before anything is visible. The stucco problem is specific to Florida. Most Tampa Bay homes have stucco exteriors. Attaching a ledger board directly through stucco without cutting the stucco back to the sheathing means the ledger is bearing on a non-structural coating rather than on the rim joist. The stucco compresses under load, the fasteners work loose, and the ledger migrates away from the house over time. The correct installation requires cutting the stucco back to the sheathing at the ledger location, installing the flashing behind the sheathing, and fastening the ledger directly to the rim joist through the exposed sheathing only. Fastener material is the third variable Florida's climate controls. Pressure-treated lumber, required for ledger boards under FBC R507, is treated with ACQ, alkaline copper quaternary, or similar preservatives that are highly corrosive to standard zinc-plated fasteners. A standard zinc-plated lag screw in contact with ACQ lumber in Florida's humidity will show measurable corrosion within 2 years and structural failure within 5. FBC R507.3 requires fasteners in contact with pressure-treated lumber to be hot-dipped galvanized or stainless steel. The lag screw from the hardware store bin is almost certainly electroplated, which looks identical to hot-dipped but corrodes at a fraction of the service life. Florida's wind environment adds an uplift component to the ledger load that cold climate deck codes don't address with the same urgency. Under Section 1609 wind loads, the deck structure is subject to negative pressure. The same suction force that acts on roofs acts on horizontal deck surfaces. That uplift force is transferred directly to the ledger connection. A ledger fastened with the correct shear resistance spacing may not have adequate uplift resistance if the fastener spacing was selected without accounting for the wind load component. The structural engineer's load calculation for a permitted deck in Tampa Bay includes both gravity and wind loads at the ledger. The ledger attachment is a required inspection point in Florida. Before the decking boards go down and before the ledger is obscured, the inspector verifies fastener type, diameter, spacing, penetration depth, stagger pattern, and flashing installation. The sheathing must be visible at the ledger location. The inspector cannot verify penetration depth through finished surfaces. A deck that is decked before the ledger inspection is a deck that has concealed the only connection the code requires to be field verified before the structure is occupied. The ledger is the connection that holds the deck to the house. When it is built correctly, it is invisible for the life of the structure. When it is built wrong, it is invisible until the deck separates. If you're adding a deck in Tampa Bay, share this with your contractor before the ledger goes up. Subscribe for more Florida building code explained in plain language.